Okay, time for another negative experience with page 1077. This page 34 has several problems where students have to solve negative exponents. Yikes. Let's talk about this briefly, and then actually we're going to do three problems from page 34 together, and you can see all of the steps, okay? So by watching this video, you're going to get three of your homework problems done with me. Let's talk first about what an exponent does. Do you remember that if we have a number like 3 and we raise it to the second exponent, it means 3 times 3, which would be 9. If I had 2 to the 4th power, it would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which would be 16. All right? In this lesson, they also talk about something to the 0 power. So we could have 5 to the 0 power, and that would equal 1. I could have 3 to the 0 power, and it would equal 1. I could have negative 7 to the 0 power. Now notice that the negative 7 is in parentheses. The point is, anything, any number, anything raised to the 0 power is always the number 1. Okay, and that's weird. I can't explain why. Don't try to understand it, just memorize it and use it. Anything to the 0 power is 1, positive 1, okay? But now we have to talk about negative exponents. And that's what, again, hard to understand a little bit. It's easy to do once I tell you what you're going to do. A negative exponent means that you take that number that is being raised to the negative, let's say a negative 2 exponent, and you first have to flip it upside down. So if we have a number like 2/3, when you flip it upside down, you have 3 over 2, all right? If we have a fraction like 1/5, then the negative exponent means that I'm going to flip it upside down and make it 5 over 1. Let me illustrate by taking 1/5 raised to the negative 2 exponent, okay? So to solve that, step 1 is to get rid of the negative part. I'm going to flip the fraction upside down, which makes this become just plain old 5, all right? Like 5 over 1. So 1/5 became 5. And then we have a positive exponent. So the answer would be 25, okay? If I had 4 raised to the negative 2 exponent, then I would first have to write this as 1 over 4 to the second exponent. Okay, see what I did? I took 4, which is over 1. Any number you can put over 1, okay, so that's easy. And then flip it, so the inverse or the reciprocal is 1 over 4. And then when I square that, let's see what I get. 1/16, okay? So actually what I just illustrated is harder than what we're going to have to do in this problem. All right, this is one of the problems you have for homework. Let's set this one up. It says f raised to the negative 2nd power. Now at the top of the page it tells me that f is 1/3. So in parentheses I'm going to put 1/3, and that's to the negative 2nd power over 5 times, and I plug in 1 in place of the a. Now I always recommend that students just replace the letters with empty parentheses first, okay? Don't try to do any more than that. Just replace it with parentheses, plug in what that variable is equal to, and then in the next step we'll try to solve it. All right, so let's come down here. 1/3 is going to be flipped and become 3, and now the exponent becomes 2, okay? What is 5 times 1? Duh, 5, right? So the answer is 9/5 or 1 4/5. Okay, we just reduce that. Let's do this one together. We're going to leave the 4, but I'm going to replace b with parentheses. 3, replace g with parentheses, and again we have a negative 2 exponent. Let's see what b is. b is 1/2. So I'm going to plug in 1/2. For G, I have 1/4. I'll plug in 1/4. Okay, you with me? 1/2, now, to get rid of this negative exponent, we flip it upside down. So down here, I'm going to leave the 4 alone, but this becomes 2 squared over 3. And now I'm going to take the 1/4, flip it, and it becomes 4. Keep the exponent of 2. So the negative exponent goes away and becomes a positive exponent, same number though, when I flip the fraction, okay? Now I can solve. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. What do I get here? 3 times 4 times 4, which is 16. And so 16 and 16 cancel, and the answer is 3, right? No. We have to remember that we keep the 1 on the top and the 3 goes down here on the bottom. I could have written this as 16 over, would that be 48? And then reduce it and we get 1/3. Let's do this last one. Stay with me here. F, so put that in parentheses to the -2nd. Raise this to the -1. 5, put parentheses to the -2nd. All right, let's see. F is 1/3. B is 1/2. And we'll do that down here as well. So remember the steps? Get rid of the negative exponent. We're going to flip this, so this becomes 3 to the 2nd power. Flip this and it becomes 2 to the 1 power. Over 5, flip this and it becomes 2 to the 2nd power. Now these parentheses up against each other like this means that we're multiplying, all right? So 3 to the 2nd power, did you think it was 6? No. Remember, 3 times 3 is 9. So 9 times 2 is 18. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 5 is 20. And then we can reduce that and get our final answer of 9/10. Now see, wasn't that easy? Okay? Now we did some of the hardest ones on this page, and hopefully you can work through the rest of the problems on page 34 and get a really good score on that.